Hello, you guys. Hi. It has been so long since I've done a YouTube live Q&A. So here I am. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, there's pizza and there's bagel. So we are all here to hang out with you guys for a little bit today. I thought I would hang out for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You can just go ahead and type in the chat box any questions you would like for me to answer, and we will just begin. So thank you for those of you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Everett. Hi, Keegan. Good morning. Okay, so McKenna, hi, says, Tina, when are you going to tour with Hans Zimmer again in CT? That would be Connecticut. So the plan as of right now is that we are going on tour in Europe. Rehearsals are supposed to start in mid-January over in Europe, and then we have a European tour. So fingers crossed, if nothing else changes, that will be the case. There's no plan currently for a US tour with Hans Zimmer Live, but who knows what the future holds. So maybe next year it'll happen, but as of right now, there's nothing concretely planned. Okay. And for those of you who haven't or who don't know what that is, if you go on Netflix and you search for Live in Prague, there is a DVD, a live DVD from our show from Prague, obviously, from 2016, the first year of the tour. So I've toured with Hans Zimmer Live in 2016, 17, 19, right before the apocalypse, and then 2022. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down. All right. So IY Beats. Hello. Hi. What is your favorite contact library? Well, I would be, dishonest if I were to not admit that I do use my own library. So if you check out the Tina Guo and Cinesamples collaboration for the Tina Guo sample libraries, both volume 1 and 2, of course, not when I'm doing session work, I'm not using my samples because that would be bad practice. But when I'm writing or sometimes when putting together ideas, there are certain things, especially the pizzicato. I don't know if you guys have checked out the plucking, but especially I like to put it on the arpeggiation mode and you just hold down, 5 notes or whatever. And then the plucking is so clean. I mean, it's literally impossible for a human or for myself to play it with that amount of cleanliness and attack consistency in real life. So actually, RoboGuo, my robot, does do that better. So there are certain things that really lend itself well to production music. So I do like that. And then I'm trying to think. I do love Zebra. Hans Zimmer, Zebra. I use that a lot. So for the most part, it's that. But I feel like more recently I've done a lot of more organic music. So it is mostly all played live. Okay. Um, all right. So, Rude Dog. Hi, Chris. When is your next performance in San Diego? I was supposed to do one this fall. Oh, is the camera getting blurry? Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh. I was supposed to do one this fall, but it was delayed at the Poway Performing Arts Center. I did go to Poway High School. Again, everything has kind of been shifting and up in the air. There is a very exciting performance coming up in 2 weeks. I'm still waiting for the absolute confirmation because I'm always the type of person that does not like to get overly excited about stuff. I mean, I get overly excited about everything, but there's always a chance, especially with the way things are right now with live concerts, that it could change. But I will be in LA probably for over a week, starting from next week, for a special performance. And as soon as that's confirmed, I will definitely post about that everywhere. Oh, Ashley says your dog is so cute. Thank you. Oh, and they're gone. Okay. So let's see. Okay, Philippe says, "Hey Tina, what is your advice for getting into the scoring industry? I'm in college studying musical composition, but I'm not really sure about starting to score real stuff." Yeah, you know what? Like in any industry, especially one that is involving music or the arts, it's really important to be starting to be self instigated. So if you're already in school, that's great. Do as much as you can to collaborate with the other students. I'm not sure if at your university there are student filmmakers, but really the most important thing is to cut your teeth and to have the experience first, right? So you when you get the opportunity to have a project, so you know exactly what you're doing. So it's really important that you do that, and then just practice every day. So even if you don't get hired for something, that doesn't matter. That shouldn't stop you from scoring something. You can even find a scene in a movie or a TV show or a video game that you really love or commercial, and then write music to it, and just practice scoring a scene. And it's never a waste of time, because it's great practice. But if you want to think about it in, I guess, a business perspective, you can always shop it in the future for potential licensing. There's a lot of companies out there that you can submit your music to for licensing prospects, or you could be contacted for some project 3-4 years down the line, literally 10 years later. This has happened to me, where I'm asked, hey, do you have any music that might fit this whatever situation? And I'm like, oh, I think like literally a decade ago I wrote some random stuff during this period, and that might work. So just try to create as much as possible, just as you would practice if you were a musician, just to practice every single day and put out as much content and effort as possible. So that would be my advice. Okay, thank you for your question. Um, oh, I'm so sorry. I've missed so many questions. I would love to come back to Victoria, Texas. I think that will happen eventually. Um, Oh, thank you guys so much. Hello to Seoul, Korea. Hello to San Francisco. I am currently at my house in Las Vegas, but I did decide to move back to Los Angeles, back home. I am very excited about that. So if the tour with Hans does happen 100%, I will move after I get back from tour. So that will probably be like a May. And otherwise, it might be a little bit earlier, but we're assuming everything is going ahead as planned. So yes, I'm super excited about that. Okay, so all these questions about different France, different countries in Europe. Yes, if you go to my website, tinaguo.com, you will see all the tour dates with Hans Zimmer Live, or you can just go to hanszimmerlive.com and the tour dates are there. And I believe some shows are already sold out, but there are tickets available. So if you want to check that out, perhaps I will see you at one of those shows. um, okay. Oh, hello to India. Hello to Mexico City. Um, okay, Russell says he can see me doing a collaboration with Jill from Unlucky Morpheus. First of all, that is an epic name. I have no idea what that is, so I'm gonna have to look it up. Thank you. Okay. All right. So Joseph Abbott. Uh, another question. Oh, Chris. Okay, hold on. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay. Sometimes the questions come in so fast. I'm not ignoring anyone. I promise you, not on purpose. Sometimes people get upset, and it's just like scrolling. So I'm so sorry if I'm missing your question. If The only way for your question to be highlighted is if you do the super chat thing at the bottom of the chat. So I'm trying as best as I can to get through everything. So I'm sorry, you guys. Okay. Oh, that's very nice. Everett says, how do you manage to look just like you did 10 years ago? Eating a lot of pizza, a lot of donuts. I was so proud of myself last night. I was tempted at 11 p.m. I've been being so bad, especially during this pandemic, like ordering Postmates or Uber Eats. And I was going to get Krispy Kreme. And the problem is when you order, donuts, as you guys probably know, from these places, like you have to get a dozen. So I'm just really proud of myself that I didn't do that. But in all seriousness, I don't know. I think being Asian, honestly, is genetics is maybe a part of it. I usually don't go out in the sun as much as possible. I don't drink at all. I've never been drunk. So yeah, so maybe you guys don't know, but I just don't really do any substances except for coffee, a lot of coffee. And I do exercise, but that's been more of a recent thing. So I've always exercised on and off. But thank you. I appreciate it. I think, yeah, staying out of the sun, staying away from substances. I don't do anything, just eating and drinking coffee and maybe a Diet Coke if I'm being super crazy. So this name that I cannot pronounce because it is too awesome and long, Heimwerker Bleh. Hi from Germany. I listen to Wonder Woman every day. I love it so much. How did you get into music in the first place? All the best from Elsa. Hello, Elsa. I got into music because both of my parents are classical music teachers. So I was actually forced into the family trade, as I always say. And so it really wasn't a choice. However, I'm obviously very grateful for it now, and even more so that I was able to find a way to find my own voice in music. Because I think a lot of times when you're forced to do something, it can. Yeah, because it didn't start off as a creative thing. It was purely like a mechanical, a robotic type of thing. So just practicing for 8 hours every day, just to train your body and your fingers, to have that muscle memory. But it wasn't until I left home and I was able to experience life in the world, and emotions and feelings and stuff like that, that I was able to also start experimenting musically and creatively. So thank you for your question. Okay. Um, okay, I'm moving down. SUD experiment. Hey, Tina, when is your next beautiful music? Thank you. I don't know if it's beautiful, but my new album is coming out on August 27th, you guys. And there's a new single being released this Friday. Yes, this Friday. There's a new single being released. I also have a very, very, very exciting collaboration project that I've been sitting on, which is very hard for me to do, as you guys know, because I like to share everything, for a while, and it is also coming out at towards the end of this month, before the album. So it's super soon. I cannot wait. There's been a lot of like random mentions from a lot of you guys, like on my Instagram posts that I've seen, like, oh, you should collaborate and do another thing with this entity. And I'm like, oh my God, it's coming, it's coming. So yes, I do have quite a few music releases coming out this month, and a new music video, which is almost done, that is featuring Surge from System of a Down, which is also another single from my upcoming album called Dies Irae, The Day of Wrath. So thank you for your question. Um, let's see. Okay, I am coming down. Demir says, "What do you think of learning to play the cello without knowing how to read music notes, but by ear instead?" I know plenty of musicians who can't read music. However, it limits you extremely. And honestly, reading music is so easy. Like if you think about it, like if you, for example, we're all speaking English here, right? The number of letters in the alphabet compared to the number of notes there are, it's only a fraction. So anything that you do when you start out, actually, let me hold up what do I have? Oh, I can't give away what some current other things I'm working on right now. But okay, for example, this might look a little bit scary, right? But I mean, in the end, there's five lines, and the notes are placed, along the lines, and it's literally just like reading. So I promise you, it does not take that long. If you can devote half an hour, maybe 1 hour to just, it's really just memorizing where the notes are, in conjunction to the notes on the cello. It will save you so much time in the future. And also, if you ever wanted to do recording work, session work, studio work, like when I do my recording work for, some of, like, these are some of the projects that I've worked on, like movies or whatever. There's no time to learn the music before, so you are expected to walk into the studio and record whatever the music is perfectly the first time, because you're being paid by the hour, so you can't be out of tune, you can't mess up. And that's impossible to do if you can't read music. So that's just one application. So I do recommend you trying to do that, because it would help a lot for a lot of different things. But if you're just playing for fun and for your own passion, then it doesn't really matter. But it also does make, again, learning new music extremely difficult, and it saves you a lot of time. So if you can put in the time to learn how to read, and it'll pay off, I promise you, like thousandfold in the future. Okay. um Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the Wonder Woman theme song? Well, I love it, obviously. No, I really do love it. It was a lot of fun to work on. Um, okay, sorry. I feel like I'm talking way too long. Let me just scroll down. Um, Okay, Zane Alexander. Hello, Zane. How can I use my body effectively so that my complete physiology is appropriate to the spirit and demands of this piece of music? I love that question because I'm all about training your body to become the vessel. Because music can be a lot of different things, and different musicians are different. There are some musicians that are more technical, that are more I don't know what the right technicians, which is, and none of this is negative because we're all different as people. So how we play our music is different. And then some people are more emotive. Some people, it's whatever, something else. And so my personal viewpoint on this is that you have to, in order to be able to pass like the mental block of where, I don't know if you've ever, given a speech, at school or a presentation or performed a piece of music, and you're still thinking when you're walking up onto the stage in front of the classroom, oh my God, like what am I supposed to say? Did I memorize it? Like the microsecond that you're doubting yourself and you don't have it so instilled into your muscle memory that you're thinking, that's when it's over. I mean, sorry, not to be dramatic, but seriously, because you cannot transcend, outside of your body. And I don't mean to sound so frou-frou, but that's literally what it is. You can't transcend and just be purely emotive and purely like to be possessed by whatever it is if you are still limited by your body, and because perhaps you didn't practice enough. Or so for me, before I do a performance, when it's a tour with the same music, over and over, that's great, and it gets easier because every show is also practice, and by the end of the tour, everybody has it completely memorized. But if I'm preparing a new piece of music, for example, for this performance thing that hasn't been announced yet in a couple weeks, right before the concerts, I will start practicing like obsessively a lot. And you do want to get to the point, and again, I'm a bit of an extremist, and I've done some videos. I think it's up on YouTube or somewhere in the past where I'm demonstrating playing a piece of music and having a full-on conscious conversation with someone at the same time. So that means it is so inside of your muscle memory that no matter what happens, babies are screaming, things are like, it's your body, it's so automatic because you've played it so many times, thousands of times, not hundreds of times. And I really think, your question about the physiology, it is important that you train your body to not be like reacting to your mind. So if you're thinking like, oh wait, what comes next? Oh God, I hope I can reach this. Oh man, like is that, can I, it's over. So I think that's really important. And as far as taking care of your body, like that's something that I've had to learn as I've gotten older in my old age. I'm not old, but I'm turning 36 in October, you guys. But definitely stretching, doing yoga, working out, being more conscious of that, because I used to not do any of it, and you can get away with it when you're young, but when you perform, and when you perform very violently like I do, you definitely end up paying for it physically. So I try to take care of my body as much as I can. And speaking of that, I haven't worked out today. I did kind of walk around the park with pizza and bagel, though, so that kind of counts. Okay, I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much. Kingpin says, "Are you married?" I am not married. I am single and currently searching for a viable mate. So I'm very optimistic and excited about it. So thank you very much. All right, a cover of the fairy tale main theme request. Yes, I will look into that. Thank you very much. I am doing my very best to start putting out more short, not so much content that's very long, but now it's like all these Instagram reels, very short form stuff. So I'm really wrapping my head around this because I feel like again, not that I'm old, but it is still kind of new to me because like I don't know, I was more used to like the more produced, full music videos or long form videos or even like live videos where I'm performing entire pieces. But now, like the thing is, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So I will look into the fairy tale theme and do a little video of that for you. So check out my Instagram. Thank you. Okay. Someone says, SLS Music says, greetings from Taiwan. Hi, I was supposed to go there with the world of Hans Zimmer, but again, because of COVID stuff, I'm sure it'll be rescheduled. So yes, I will be coming to Taiwan at some point soon. Oh, hi. So the cello doll. Hi at Tina Guo. Thank you so much for being an inspiration for me. As a fellow classically trained cellist gone alternative. Thank you. I so appreciate it. You're wonderful. You guys check her out. She is obviously here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Okay, let's go down. All right. Oh my goodness, sorry. I feel like I am going too slow. Good music theory books that. Okay, so Igor, hello Igor. Could you please recommend any good music theory books that do not include notes? All right. First of all, I have something to admit to you. When I was at USC studying classical cello performance, I failed my music theory class not once but 3 years in a row, to the point where my professor said, "You know, Tina, maybe for now you could just focus on your performing, and then just come back to it later." And I don't think it's not about, a matter of stupidity or inability to understand music theory. I think for me at the time, I was just so focused on practice, like the actual practicing, because I was doing 8 hours a day plus all my other classes, and I just wasn't applying myself. So that's my very sad excuse, as to why I cannot recommend any music theory books to you, because I honestly have no idea. I mean, I know basic music theory. I took, what is it, certificate of merit, completion tests or whatever growing up, as the child of two Chinese music teachers, who were very much into music theory and music everything. So I did that. But as far as like the more advanced music theory, I do not know. But the first thing you definitely need to know, is notes. So if I'm not quite sure what you meant by music theory without notes, but I think being able to read is a very basic thing and very easy to do. You can teach yourself. It really isn't hard. So I'm a huge fan of self education, and just going on Google and just searching how to read music. I mean, there's so many free, resources out there, including YouTube, and you just start like the way that I remember when I, was learning how to read music, and I remember for bass clef. So this for the oh sorry, it's backwards, but bass clef, which is mostly what, cello or bass reads. There's 5 lines, and the middle line is a D. Now, obviously, if you don't play music, you're like, "What is a D?" So you need, as a reference, an instrument or your piano or whatever it is, but it's a specific note, right? That specific note, you know what it is. And what I used to do, I literally just started from that, and it was a very painful process in the beginning. And I would count like the number of notes, like, okay, this is 3 notes higher than D. So, okay, it's F. And I would just write in like the letter F for every single note. And you do that for like a month or something. And you just suddenly, like one day you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I can read music. So it really is, it's something that's super useful. And I highly recommend, for those of you asking about, playing music without being able to read, again, totally possible. But it really does limit you in a lot of ways, in other applications in the future. And why not give yourself all the tools, that you can possibly have, right, to help you? Okay, so, Renee Schwartz in the UK, hello. Thank you for your message. What piece of music, has had the biggest emotional impact on you, and why? Definitely the Elgar Cello Concerto played by Jacqueline Dupre, because I grew up obsessed with her. I felt that she was such a beautiful, emotional musician, and it was so the way that she played the piece was so full of pain, but it was just, I'm a big fan of people who are, people, music, things that are very open, that are very raw, that feel a lot, because I don't know, maybe we're just attracted to things that we relate to or we vibrate with. And I'm kind of the same way. And so I just love when things make you feel something, where it's not just like shallow or surface level, or people with walls up trying to protect themselves, trying to act cool. That's not attractive, so I really love that about her. And I used to watch, my parents had a laser disc. For those of you that are a little bit younger, or you probably don't even know what it is, but they're like these giant CDs. Like, CD, what's a CD? Like huge, huge laser disc. And I would play, her performance of the Elgar Cello Concerto with her, husband at the time conducting, Daniel Barenboim, the pianist slash, conductor, like 2 or 3 times a day. That's how obsessed I was. So I really love that piece so much. Okay, let's see. Let me go down. Uh, what? Okay, people are asking me about my dream. Okay, I will answer that question about my dream mate, but one moment, let me see if there's any other. Oh yes, stock stuff. So yeah, so Reemers Augustin, hello. This is not off subject at all. There is when I do these live Q&As, there is nothing that is off subject. I'm always, I always say, ask me anything, and I mean it. Okay. Do you still have your Domino's pizza stock? Yes, I do. I also have Papa John's stock. I am not recommending stocks right now, you guys. You have to do your own research, but I'm very much into investments and whatnot. So I I think that I've only sold maybe one stock in the last 12 years, that I've been investing. I don't sell. I just buy and hold. And when things go down, I buy more and I just hold. So it's my long-term plan. And it's a lot of fun. I used to post, more videos about this, but I don't know if you guys remember or if you watched my way older videos, but my very first like investment foray outside of just traditional stocks was peer-to-peer lending through Lending Club, which is no longer accepting new investors. But I've been taking, the remaining money out of that. But that, yeah, I've had that for like 12 years. So I'm closing that off, but I do have like some investments in like real estate investment trusts, a lot of stocks, mostly stocks and bonds, and stuff like that. So yes, I do still have my pizza stock. Um, Siddharth says, "How many times do you clean your cello in your free time?" Oh my God. Thank you for the reminder. I've been a bad. Oh, look, I even have my cello cleaning cloth here. I don't do it enough. You should clean your instrument after you play every time, and I should follow my own advice. So thank you for that. Um, let's see. Oh my God, I love that username, Cutie Piglet. Any dreams for the future, like wanting to go on vacations? Yes, like playing with a specific musician. Oh my God, there's so many dreams. Well, you guys know my favorite band is Rammstein, and there are of course so many other artists that I adore, including the Who. Not well, the Who is cool too, WHO, but the Mongolian ethnic metal band HU, they're amazing. Just so many musicians that I would love to collaborate with. For me, what excites me is change. Not change too much because I'm actually okay. Hold on. I like stability. I like things that are very like dependable, but artistically, I like when I collaborate musically with people or with in genres of music that I'm not familiar in. I like when I feel stupid or like an idiot or uneducated because it challenges me. So I don't know. I think I'm usually pretty much very open to the opportunity of collaborating with like with any cool project or act that approaches me. Um, so yes, my I guess that's a very general answer, but I would like to continue being able to play and collaborate with a lot of different musicians. And like I mentioned earlier, this month in the next 2 weeks, there are quite a few things coming out, and which I'm very excited about, including collaborations with different artists. Not to mention it again, but I'm going to because it's my album that's coming out. But on August 27th, Dies Irae, which is Latin for the Day of Wrath. And the new single coming out with it features Serge Tankian from System of a Down. And so he and I co-wrote the song. It's only Serge doing some incredible vocal. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like this man and his voice. So it's just vocals and electric cello, and it's based on Moonheart, which is also on the album. So there's a version of just instrumental cello, and that song it's also up on YouTube, and it's been up for years. I actually wrote it live when I was doing a Facebook Live demonstration of a loop pedal before I transitioned to using the Helix LT, which is a digital processor. And I was doing like a review on like a $25 loop pedal that I got on Amazon, and I accidentally wrote this piece. And I know a lot of you guys have been requesting that I record it properly, and I just didn't do it for so many years. So it's finally coming out, Moonheart. And then the version with Serge is called Moonhearts in Space. So he wrote the lyrics, obviously, all his vocal stuff. And so I cannot wait for you guys to hear it and to watch the music video, which I think is going to be pretty trippy. So that's coming out at the end of this month, as well as another collaboration with one of my favorite people and favorite bands ever. So that's also coming out this month. Um, and then for future dreams, like wanting to go on vacations, yeah, I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. So I would love to do that. I have, I mean, I don't know if it's kind of basic because like I feel like a lot of it's very popular, but sometimes I'm a basic bitch. Like I you see those like overwater bungalows with like the glass bottoms. That would be cool. I would like to do that. I feel like I don't know, having this much time to reflect the past year and a half that we've been kind of landlocked, everybody. I've traveled so much, but I haven't really had the opportunity to travel, just or even allowed myself to enjoy it. Let's be honest, that's really the reason. To vacation and to just really be in the moment and do that. So I would love to travel for the purpose of just experiencing and traveling, not because it was attached to a concert or an event, which was mostly the case. And so, yeah, like, and for the dreams for my future, I definitely still plan on touring. So obviously, I'm going on tour with Hans for about 2.5 months, I think, in the spring. But actually, I have very consciously made the decision to tour less because prior to COVID, I was on the road maybe 8 months out of the year, which was wonderful and great. But for me, again, everybody's different. But I actually, realized back in December that I do want a family, and I do want to experience that more. I don't know, you call it traditional, lifestyle, but I really want that. And I think if I'm traveling and touring for 8 months out of every year, that's not really conducive. To manifesting that type of situation. So I guess the dream for my future would be to continue making music, composing, doing everything that I'm doing right now, which I love so much. And then finding, that the perfect, not perfect, nobody's perfect, but the right partner, and to create a beautiful life together. So those are my dreams for the future. Okay, so Nicholas says, I just discovered your music. Wow, thank you. What, if any, piece of music do you always dread playing? I don't really dread playing anything. I think if I am trying to learn something new and it's really difficult, I actually get excited. I like it, and I really enjoy the process of. Again, I've done videos on this. On like, oh, people ask me, how do you play so fast, or how do you play? And everybody, including myself, is so impatient, in everything. But especially in like trying to learn a instrument or a piece of music, and they just want to go fast, or they just want to do it. You have to. I know it's like everyone says this, but you have to go really slow. And if you take, I've done samples of this like on Flight of the Bumblebee, which I know, a lot of people play, whatever, but lots of people know that piece of music, right? Because it's known for being very, very fast with lots of notes. So you literally, the way I play like super slow motion, one note at a time, and you do not speed up at all until it is perfect. If there is a single note that's even like a microtone off, you got to stop. And it's more about conscious practice. And so now, like, I don't practice 8 hours a day like I used to. A, because I've gotten lazier, but B, because I don't have time because there are other, business related things that I have to do and other work. But really, really taking the conscious, being super aware of what you're doing. I think that can make up for a lack of time. So even with 2 or 3 hours of really focused practice, I do feel like you can get it, but it's not, because your muscle memory remembers exactly what you played, even if you're not mentally aware of it. You're training your body to. So if you kind of do something in a sloppy way, because you're trying to play fast or you're impatient, you're actually going backwards. You're like making yourself worse, or you're just practicing to always play something incorrectly or wrong. So that I'm like really, really, really a huge believer in is like stop, be patient, breathe. And so when I see a new piece of music that I'm like, holy shit, how am I going to play that? That's crazy. I get excited because I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to go back into like robot Tina mode. And then I play it at like probably a tenth of the speed. I mean, like super, super slow. And sometimes I will spend, I don't know, 1 hour on like four notes, literally four notes over and over and over and over, like just until it's perfect. And you just do a little bit at a time. And then you guarantee that way that none of the time that you're spending trying to perfect something is wasted. So I hope that answers your question. um, let's see. Okay, Iron Celestial 97. Hi. Hi Tina. I love watching and hearing you play so much. Thank you. What made you decide that this was going to be your career path? You are such an inspiration to all. Oh, I really appreciate like the very kind words and comments from you guys. It really means a lot. Seriously. So thank you. I what made me what made me decide, because I don't know. I feel like in a way I never had a choice, because music was something that I was forced into. And then later, like I went to USC with a cello scholarship, and I didn't have the money to pay for school, so that was my only choice, was to go to music school, and it really was the only thing that I felt like I was good in, because I spent so many hours, again 8 hours minimum per day, since age 7, playing the cello, 7.5. So I didn't have a choice. So maybe the better question is, what made me decide that I was going to stay in that career path? I do feel like, yeah, because I felt like it was something that, like, technically I was proficient in, and I just needed to find a way to make it my own and to feel passionate about it. And so I think it was, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm just being super, super honest with you. I don't want to just say like, oh, I always knew I wanted to be a musician. Like, no, I feel like a lot of times, even like now, like today, or recent days, people are like, wow, Tina, you're always so, driven, or you're like you're putting out so much content. It's like, I wake up every day and sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? So I think we all have, I don't know if it's doubt, but I don't think there's anybody on earth who is supremely confident in exactly what they're doing and know exactly what's going on every day, you know. And so I don't know. I guess it just kind of happened, and again, each time that, I think we as humans always react well, to compliments and to love and to, confirmation that what you're doing is good, or whatever. So that's, when I've put out music, like, even way back in the day, like whatever, 15 years ago when I started, and people say, oh, like, oh, you sound great, or oh, that's such a beautiful piece, or and it makes you feel good, and it made me feel good. I'm like, oh, I want to keep making people feel good, so then it also instigates it. So I think it's more of like a daily thing. It's not so much, it was never a moment that I like woke up or was born and there are people like this who are like, I'm going to be a musician. It didn't happen that way for me. It was kind of just like a slow unfolding, combined with my circumstances, and then just trying to figure out what I can do with the tools that I was given. So that's the honest answer. Um, okay, so Airborne says 1944. Tina, do you do photo signings? I do. So usually after my live shows, I'll be in the lobby and sign CDs and say hi to you guys and take photos. But if you want autograph photos or posters, they are available from my merchandise store. I think the link, or if I haven't added it, I'll do it after this, or I'll type it in later. But if you just go to my website, actually, tinaguo.com, on the very top, there's links to everything, including my Amazon list. But there is a link to the merchandise store. So there's lots of pictures, lots of photos, too many photos. Please buy some, because I have an entire filing cabinet right here full of photos, and posters, and they are signed. So yes, that's where you can get them right now. Um, Okay, so Eileen Cello, hello, fellow cello sister. I am interested in your practice regime. Is it different according to what project you are working on? Yes, absolutely. So, prior to this performance that I am prepping for, that's happening in 2 weeks, which I cannot talk about yet, and I know it's really last minute. But I was like, oh, I need to, like, sometimes it's hard to keep yourself focused, especially as musicians, if we don't have live concerts coming up. And so sometimes I will tell myself, Tina, you have to practice whatever this thing, because you're going to post it on social media, and it's a way to force yourself. But I was going through my sheet music about a month ago, during a day where I was feeling very unmotivated and not couldn't trying to find a way to force myself to practice classical cello. And so I've all this old, sheet music. So this is a collection of cello music by French composers. And I'm actually working on this right now. It's a Papillon Butterfly by Gabriel Fauré. So, I if you see, like, I go in and I'm pretty methodical about writing in all the fingerings and bowings. And so what I did, I like to find a video. So this is how I kind of self teach, I will find a video of a cellist playing the piece that I really love. So I watched a bunch, and my favorite was Yo Yo Ma's performance back in Tokyo, way back in the day. I think he was in his early 20s or something. And then YouTube has this feature now where you can slow it down, but it doesn't affect the pitch of the note. So I put it to like 1/4 of the speed or something. And literally, second by second, I will play, stop. And then I actually write in exactly what fingerings and bowings they're using. And then after I do it for the entire piece, then I go back and then I evaluate, does that work with my body? Because my hands are obviously not as big as his. And my arms work differently. And then I'll go in and always use pencil. Then I'll erase it. Yes, it's a very tedious process, but it's worth it. So I'll erase it, I'll write it back in. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier about being super conscious of what you're doing. Because if you just look at a piece of music, you go, oh, I can do that. And you just randomly start playing and you're using different bowings and fingerings every time. All you're doing is you're actually setting yourself back, I think, because you're not really back, but you're just wasting time in that you're practicing all different things, so your body doesn't know what to remember, or your mind. So I will very methodically. So again, it's not about emotion, it's not about like expression. It's completely robotic, technical first. So I do that, and then after it's all done. I haven't gotten this up to speed yet because I want to be able to play it lightning fast, but be super, super, super clean. So I'm still working on the clean playing, and I just go a little bit faster each time, faster, 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 and eventually it'll get super, super fast. And then you can add in the emotion and everything else, but the emotion should never take away from the technical accuracy, in my opinion, and probably most people's. But so that's what I do. And if I'm practicing like a piece of music for a particular show or something like that, then I focus on that music and I just play it as much as I can until until I get really exhausted. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Would you? Okay, let's see. Alonzo, who plays the cello. By the way, this is a mug from the world of Hans Zimmer. Okay, would you ever like to return a modern concerto playing? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I remember when I learned the Shostakovich cello concerto for the tour I did with the State of Mexico National Symphony. I think I was 21 or something at the time, 21 or 22. I practiced 10 hours a day. It wasn't 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day because I had never learned it before. And of course, when I got the offer, like, would you like to play the Shostakovich cello concerto? I said, yeah, of course. And then after I said yes, I was like, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And at the time, I was still smoking cigarettes, which was not healthy, I know, but anyway, so I remember every day, it took me, I think, 8 months of preparation. I would practice 10 hours a day, but technically 10, 50, 50-minute, 50-minute increments. So I would practice for 50 minutes. Then I would drink a lot of coffee too, which I still do. Coffee, cigarette, 10 times every day, 7 days a week. So that was my preparation for the Shostakovich cello concerto. It would be great, to play more concertos and whatnot, but to be completely honest, just because of my workload and the different types of things that I'm doing now, I don't know if I would have the actual time and the capacity to prepare a new concerto to the level that I would feel comfortable performing it, because I never want to do anything that's half-assed or not prepared. So yeah, I mean, an ideal world with unlimited time, I would love to do that, but I don't know. I feel like it took me a while to get over that mental block, because I was also when I first started out, when I was younger, in my early 20s, I was still very much doing a lot of classical performances and recitals, and playing with some orchestras, like not never like A-level orchestras, but yeah, some like great orchestras and symphonies. um, but you can't there's not enough time to do everything, and I so love creating my own music, and also with the electric cello and other genres, and working in soundtracks and whatnot. And it's, for me, it's very fun artistically, to be able to be creative, right? So I just had to choose, and for so many years I struggled with it, because I felt like, I mean, in addition, of course, it was not even the comments from other classical musicians, but that didn't help. Like, oh, you're a sellout. You're like, you're cheap in like what you play, because to unfortunately, to a lot of people who are very entrenched in like very old ways of thinking, they think that and not everybody in classical music is like this, but there are, which is fine because everybody's different. And it made me feel so like bad about myself and guilty, and like I was selling out, and that I was like cheapening my art or whatever it was. But so it took me many years to get over it, and finally I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what makes me happy, what makes me feel free. And so now I'm comfortable to say that I love classical music. I still incorporate some classical pieces when I do my own solo shows, like with my band. Though sometimes there'll be a couple songs where I play, Bach or something more classically based. But I don't really feel like I need to prove anything anymore. I used to feel like I have to do at least like 2 or 3 concertos a year just to prove to other musicians, classical musicians, that I'm a real musician, that I can actually play. But I think I got over that quite a few years ago. But anyway, to go back to your question, yeah, of course it'd be amazing. I just don't know if it'd be realistic at this point because I have other priorities, with my business and my music. But I love it. Okay. All right. So Gail asks, what do you feel in all capitals when you play heavy music? I have always, like I mentioned earlier, I love like stuff that's super like emotional and extreme. And what I feel when I play heavy music, I don't know if anger, but it's not anger. It's more of like this very like, I would say even masculine, like power, and like very, God, what is the right word? Visceral. I think that's what it is. It's like visceral, it's animalistic, it's yeah, that's what it is. So that's what I feel, and that's what attracts me to heavy music, and bands like Rammstein, and just I just love it. Okay. Shadow War Child, have you ever thought of working with Apocalyptica? I would love to. I have been chatting with them about some other stuff recently during the pandemic and stuff, but of course, I never want to bother anyone. I'm not. This is a whole other thing, but like, I never reach out to other bands or artists and ask to collaborate, just because I don't know. I just don't want to like maybe that's my own thing, but I never want to bother anyone. So like any collaborations that I do or things that happen, it's either just by chance, or maybe they approach me, or like maybe we're connected by a third party that's like kind of not, but I don't do the other thing just because I don't want to like, maybe it's fear of rejection, or it's not even that. I think I just don't want to bother people, because I think like, oh, they're so amazing, they're so busy, like I don't want to be like another person asking them for things. So what I try to do is I try to always focus inward. So I focus on my own music, on my own, videos or whatever I'm doing and putting out, and hoping that if somebody or some band or artist sees what I do and they're into it, then they'll reach out and say, hey, would you like to collaborate? So I guess it's kind of like making them come to me, which I don't know if that's bad, but I just don't. The last thing I ever want is to be like an annoyance, and I think that's where it comes from. So yeah, I mean, I would love to work with Apocalyptica, but I don't want to like, like push anybody to do anything. So that's my very honest answer. Um, okay. So another question, how do you position your left hand to do vibrato on cello? Because my master professor wanted me to do it by myself. Your teacher should be teaching you how to do vibrato because they're your teacher. That's what they do. So I'm searching for some more advice. I know you made a video on it. Yeah, so check out my video. Again, everybody's bodies are different, so it's not one size fits all. But oh my gosh, if I demonstrate it on my arm, just make sure that I call it hamburger position. Make sure your left hand, your fingering hand is always loose. You want everything to be loose, and when you place it, just like when you're playing normally, you place it on your, this is the fingerboard, right? And so the way that I vibrate, you just kind of start by kind of going back and forth. So you're rocking on the tip. Make sure your thumb is touching the back of the fingerboard. And just like I said about slow practice for the notes and everything else, it's like so painful and it's so monotonous and boring. I know, right? I know it's terrible, but you have to do it. That's the only way you're going to get better. So you got to do it really slow. So even with like a metronome. So if you put it on like 60 BPM, you can do like up, down, up for every click. I know it's so boring, so boring. Okay, you do that for like 5 minutes, which is going to feel like forever. Treat yourself to some chocolate if you have to. You can bribe yourself, and then I would move up the tempo, maybe 5 or 10 BPM. 10 might be too much, and then faster, because you're training your finger to make this very unnatural movement, and just play around with it because the vibrato is the biggest effect hands down on your tone. And I think tone is so important, because you want, just like if you were a singer, there are certain singers when you hear them sing one note and you're like, oh shit, that's so and so, you know who they are. The last thing you want is to be somebody that is just like mediocre, and I don't mean mediocre even as like a bad player, but just nondescript, right? I mean, again, that's my personal opinion, so don't kill me, but I just think that if you are going to play an instrument, if you play the cello and you sound just like a million other cello players and there's nothing unique about your tone. I'm not saying you have to do something crazy with your vibrato or anything, but there are certain people where you can just tell, and it's mostly the fingers, the vibrato, and of course your bow hand. So it's so important. So you should really take a lot of time to make sure that you build a good foundational base, for for the vibrato. And again, I know how frustrating it is because I feel like I did not even start finding my tone until it was my second year of summer camp in college. So I was like, what, 20? And I started cello at age 7. So it took me 13 years to find my tone, and to consciously, like, so it's okay, take your time, but definitely do that. And you should get advice from your teacher because that's what you're paying them for, right? So, okay. Um, let's see. All right. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Why do I talk so much? I've missed so many what's oh my gosh, let me go back up. Good evening. Hi everybody. Thanks for being here. Oh my goodness, it's already been 50 minutes. I really talk too much. Oh, someone says they would sell their soul for me. Wow, that's so nice. Thank you. um someone checked out the dates for the Europe tour next year in Berlin. Yes, I hope you can come. Um Let's see. Yes, Holland is lovely. Okay, I'm gonna go down, 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 down. Une, hi. He says, I'm really impressed by your work on social media and self promotion. How do you stay consistent on that? You have to force yourself. And trust me, I do not wake up every day feeling motivated to do it. It can be very difficult, but I think once you do it and you get into it, then it's like being your own Asian tiger parent. That's literally what I do to myself. And he says, do you set off a part of the day or do you have some other tips? Definitely time blocking. I think, again, same way you practice being very conscious, that you have to consciously time block. And so, like this morning, I woke up well, I meant to wake up at 5, but I was lazy and I snoozed until 5:30. And then I met my friend Jen at the park, with pizza and bagel at 6 a.m. I was home by 7:15. I washed both of them. I had breakfast. I made coffee, put on my makeup, did some emails. Now I'm doing this. Next, I need to do some stuff for a TikTok campaign, that Sony asked me to do. So today is more of like a creative day, writing emails, but it's planned out by time. And I think it's really hard to keep yourself on track if you don't write out exactly what you want yourself to do. So having a plan is always a good thing. So I would recommend that as much as possible. Okay. Let's see. Um, Oh, interesting question. Starbucks is Starbucks. That's funny. What happened to your music video for Halloween you made a few years ago? So the song is still available because it was on my album Hollywood's Greatest Themes, and I love that theme so much. But it was kind of a weird situation. I was contacted by the owners of the publishing for Halloween. So not John Carpenter, but like the actual movie company, and they usually, like when you do a cover, as you guys know, there's so many other artists out there who do covers, like the monetization. So any of the ads that you see, which again might be a little bit annoying, but that's the only way that YouTubers can make money. You get a little bit of a tiny micro payment each time somebody sits through an ad. So thank you for doing that, you guys. But so usually that's fine, and the publishing owners just monetize the video. But for whatever reason, again, I'm not saying, I don't want to say anything negative, but for whatever reason, the publishing owner contacted me and they said they wanted me to give them a payment, a rather large payment. payment of thousands of dollars. And I said, yeah, but there, and I showed them like a list. I'm like, yeah, but there's hundreds of other people who've covered it. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. But your video looks very high budget. I did that video for $600. So it wasn't high budget. It's just because I do everything myself. But anyway, and I told them that I'm like, I can't. And at the time, or even if I could afford it, it's like a matter of principle. But and it's their right, of course, because they own the publishing. They said, well, we want you to give us a whatever amount of payment. And I said, no, thank you. I'm just going to delete the entire video, which I think surprised them because they thought they would be able to get a payment from me. So that's what happened, which really sucks because I liked it and it was fun. But that was like a matter of principle. And never have I, never, all the other hundreds of videos I've done, that has not happened. It was only with that. So that's why it's no longer up. What can I say? Again, just being honest. Okay. Carlos says, "Are you playing anything today?" No, I was not planning on playing anything. Today is just a Q&A, but you know what? It's been a while since I've done a live YouTube like performance thing, so perhaps I'll organize one of those. But in the meantime, let's see. I post stuff on Instagram sometimes. There's also my Patreon page, and I am also organizing, the monthly Zoom meeting call party with my Patreon patrons. So there is additional stuff that happens there. So if you want to check that out. Someone says, "Are you using ring lighting?" Yes, I am. My eyes do not naturally shine like this. I'm using a ring light, which is on my Amazon list, by the way. I think it was only $70. It's very big. And it also has here, let me just show you, it has, oh, yeah, lots of different levels. And then you can make it cool light, which it's on right now, or warm light. Really, really useful for, all of your selfie needs. Song and score. Well, who's your favorite cellist? Still Jacqueline Dupre, forever and ever. She is my cello goddess. Um, okay. Oh, thank you, Black Box Recordings. I really appreciate it. Yes, positivity. um, okay. What is your game changer for your at-home recording studio setup? Uh what is my game changer? I'm a really big believer in that it's how you use the tools that you have. Because for 10 years, I used a $300 microphone that I got at Sam Ash on sale, the Rode NT 1000, and I mean, nobody complained. I recorded many albums using that microphone, including Game On. I recorded by myself for a lot of it using that microphone in my old condo, and just no crazy sound treatment or anything like that. And I don't have this room that I'm currently in sound treated. It has very, very tall ceilings, but because I mic very closely with the SE Electronics RNT microphone, to Rupert Neve design, it doesn't pick up a lot of ambient noise, which is great because I like the close miking. So I guess as far as like the biggest game changer, I do have to say this new microphone has made a big difference in the tone. Like, I mean, again, you can get it because I don't want people to ever feel like, sometimes people say, oh, but I can't afford, or like, I can't. You don't have to have a $3,000 microphone. Like, you really don't. Like, I'm telling you, for 10 years, I was a professional working musician who still works, using a $300 microphone and a $90 M box. You can do it. And a laptop, with GarageBand. I mean, or Logic now is so inexpensive, or whatever, DAW that you use. So don't ever feel held back by, monetary limitations or the equipment that you have. In the end, it's how you play. And if you suck, no matter how expensive your gear is, you're not going to sound good. You can only cover so much, right? So, and if you're playing in tune and you play with, like, whatever it is, accuracy, emotion, great tone, the vibrato that we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter how much the microphone costs. I mean, I've heard people being recorded on $100 microphones that sound insane. So yeah, I'm all about that. But I guess this microphone has been a huge upgrade, and I'm so grateful to SE Electronics, who are my endorsers, for that opportunity. And then also, actually, you know what, connecting like I have like a big TCL TV, which, again, they're very inexpensive nowadays. You get, like, I think this one is like 50. You can't see it, but it's over here. It's like 55 inches. It's like a couple $100 or $300. But I use it to read sheet music. So I have it set up as like a separate screen. So instead of wasting, so I used to like print out like music from my recording sessions, and I would not waste, but I would use so much paper. And now I just have it as a PDF over here, and I feel like it's good for the environment. And also the music is ginormous because it's a big screen. So that has been a big game changer as well. Thank you. Um, oh. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Someone named Mani with a pink background says, "You are beautiful." By the way, you are is apostrophe re, not your. But that's okay. You are beautiful, but your teeth not beautiful. Oh, you guys are. It's okay. Don't get mad at him. It's like we can only operate from our own level of consciousness. So I've talked about this before, and people, I feel like, ooh, what happened to my hand? Not so much anymore. And I actually love my teeth, so I'm totally okay with this. But like, I have this condition where most of my teeth are baby teeth. So my two front teeth are adult teeth. These two are, I think, adult teeth, but most of them are baby teeth. And I'm also missing a few. So that's why they're all so spaced out. I do save money on floss. But oh, I mean, Manny, I'm sorry you don't think my teeth are not beautiful, but I love my teeth, and a lot of people love my teeth. So there you go. I hope you have a nice day. Thank you guys for being very sweet, but it's okay. I've become, you guys, when you put yourself out there like I do for so many years, literally nothing bothers me. But I still appreciate you protecting me. Thank you. Um, Okay, so Gretcha, sorry, Lopez says, "Hi Tina, do you have any tips for stage fright?" Yes. Okay. So I used to suffer from major stage fright. And even though I'm sure I seem very extroverted to you guys, I'm actually more naturally an introvert. And so even performing like classical music when I was younger, oh my gosh, there's like this video on VHS tape that my parents took of a performance that I did. And I was like the most awkward, like insecure. I was always afraid to look people in the eye. So I was like walking on stage, completely hunched over like a turtle with my cello, staring at the floor. I never looked up the entire time. I sat down, I played like a robot, no emotion, no feeling, just play the notes, staring at one spot. I think it was like the Sinson cello concerto or something. Is like, and this is when I was maybe 13, 14. And then I bowed very awkwardly, and then I walked off. I really was a robot. And the reason I was acting like that was because I was so scared, and I still remember it's like my entire face and my body would feel like red because I was so embarrassed and like nervous. And the only way to get over it is to do it over and over and over and over. Everything is about repetition and familiarity. So as much as you can, do live streams, perform for your friends or family if if they can handle it. Play for your dog. I don't know, like just as much as you can, you just have to practice it. There's no other way around it. And you have to force yourself to do it. So I don't think there is any special remedy. I mean, I know some musicians who've kind of like, taken, I don't even remember what they're called, but there's certain medications or drugs that are supposed to like muscle relaxants or something. But that is the last thing you want, I think, because you want your mind and your body to be sharp and clear and like super aware. And I actually think when you have adrenaline and like nervousness, if you can, first of all, become accustomed to it. And once you become accustomed to it, you can like channel it into that all of that like nervous energy you can channel it into your actual performance, and you don't want to take that away. So I'm always like, do not take substances, don't, because you're doing is just like blocking you're doing the opposite, right? You want to be like clear so you can be a clear channel. So yeah, as much as you can, just practice. There's really no shortcut. And just force yourself to do it over and over, and eventually you'll get used to it. And even to this day, of course, before live performances, I don't really like to call it nerves, because sometimes like we can like psych ourselves out by so like the same feelings that we get in our body, in our stomach, in our chest when we feel nervous and when we feel excited is the same. Actually, physiologically, it's the same response. So you just tell yourself it's a mental thing, like I'm excited, I have so much excitement and like raw energy. Don't think like, oh my god, I'm so scared, because it's the same feeling. And then you just make yourself make yourself crazy and you panic. So try to also mentally put yourself into that space where you're like, oh, I'm just really excited, I have a lot of exciting energy. And remind yourself that no matter what happens, even if you mess up, I've messed up so many times, like who cares? No one's gonna no one's gonna remember. Even if something like seems like it's like a tragedy, life goes on. And after 2.5 hours after the show, I mean, trust me, no one, it's not that serious. Everybody's concerned about themselves and their own lives. And so I think when I made that realization, and then also just out of practice, it helped so much with like being scared or being nervous to be like judged, if I messed up or anything like that. So I hope that helps. Okay. All right. Have I ever messed around with a double bass? A little bit, not so much. Yeah, no. You do not want to hear me try to play a double bass. That would be wrong. uh, okay. So, oh my gosh, sorry guys. All right, let me go a little faster. I talk too much. Um, Okay. Maybe we can see you at a jazz festival. I feel like I'm not a great jazz player just because I'm not so familiar with the genre, but that would be cool to do more jazz music. Um, Gail wants to know how do you deal with playing a classical instruments in a heavy genre? Did you ever feel misunderstood? Yeah. Uh-huh. Do you have technical obstacles that made you consider switching your instrument? No, I'm not quite. I'm so sorry. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but there's always technical obstacles to everything. I mean, sawing a piece of wood with like metal attached to it, playing an instrument is not the most natural thing in the world. So I think everything is a technical obstacle. And as far as feeling misunderstood, everyone is going to be misunderstood. And I think like something that people really need to get over for their own good, and that I had to get over, and I realized like we care so much about what other people think, and which is okay because that's a natural human thing because we're we want people to like us or whatever, but um try not to worry about what your colleagues think. Okay, I know this sounds weird, and this is not, I'm not referring to if you're working in an office environment or in a company. Like, yes, of course, you should care about what your coworkers think. For again, this is everything I say is always in my personal experience, and everybody's experience is different. So it might not be true for someone else. But for me, I, especially when I was breaking out of the classical world and like I mentioned earlier, dealing with my own insecurities and feeling like I was a sellout and like, oh, I spent so many hours, practicing classical music and I'm moving away from it. So I had to deal with that. And on top of that, the judgment, which continues to happen now, of course. But I honestly, like, as you guys, I really don't give a flying, pizza. Like, so it doesn't bother me. So it's fine because I know it's just coming from their own issues. Because anybody who is happy and busy with themselves is not going to go out of their way to say or even care what somebody else is doing. Like for me, if I always like, I say if I see something that I don't like, which I don't really feel like I usually see things that I like hate so much or whatever, but even if I do, the last thing I would do is like go there and then like make some comment about it. That's like such a waste of energy, So I just tell myself that people who have that need, it's their internal problems. And so when you're saying like, did I ever feel misunderstood? Yeah, but I don't really care. And you have to be aware, especially when you're a musician. So this was my point. When you're a musician, and I know so many of us who come from a classical background, which is a very herd mentality thing, because there's a structure to it. Everybody pretty much learns the same way, the orchestra, and then also just I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but it's like you want to be accepted, of course, that's normal. And usually people who stand out or do things slightly differently, they're always, it's like crabs in a bucket. They're always pulled back because you're unfortunately a lot of times people don't want you to stand out, and it could even be your family or your friends or in many different areas in life. And so if you're really passionate about something, you can't care if you're misunderstood, especially by the people who are either your competition or, like, when I say competition, but by people who do what you do. And maybe if somebody who is a classical cellist, for example, who was like raised like myself in a very conservative environment, and they see me going off and, oh my god, being possessed and doing weird heavy music and satanic stuff or whatever it is that they think, um, of course they're going to misunderstand me. But I think what helps a lot is you have to be aware, like, why would I care what they think? Like, it's, you should always only take advice and to care about people's opinions that you respect and that you look up to. So if you really like respect and look up to somebody and you think they're absolutely amazing or whatever, and they're telling you, listen, like, okay, then I would take that into consideration. So yeah, Gail, as far as like Feeling misunderstood. Yeah, like when I was younger, it did take me a very long time to come to terms with it and to understand like human psychology and where it comes from. So yeah, don't ever be held back by any type of like fear or like small minded thinking, or just like you have to live your life and do what feels true to you. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Bilal says, "Hey Tina, what? I'm so sorry, but Bilal, I hope I said your name right. Please tell us what working on Dune was like. It was awesome. I can't wait for the movie to come out in October. I recorded a lot of electric cello for it, and there's also an extended soundtrack on album, an album version that's coming out. Probably some of you have seen the trailer already, and there is you can hear some of it in the trailer, but yeah, I just can't wait to see the actual movie. And funny enough, I never watched the original movie. And so when I was working on Dune and I saw some scenes and whatever, I was like really confused. I'm like, why do they have these things in their nose? And why is there like this like thing with teeth? Like, so I probably should have watched the old movie first. And then after I already did all the recording and I watched the old movie, which I loved because I love anything like sci-fi fantasy, then I was like, oh, okay, it totally makes sense. So I'm like super excited now to see that. Okay. Igor wants to know if I compose my own music. Yes, I do. Check out my new collection of music on the Headspace app that was released last month. It's an hour of focus music. If you have the app, you can also. I released 11 albums before I signed to Sony, and I think two or three of them were all original music. So you could check that out. And yeah, if you look in the credits of stuff that I've put out, some of them, like if it's original, it'll say that. So you can check that out. And then I'm trying to think for my new album, there is one piece that has actually very little cello. It was all programming, which I did myself. And it is called Coming Home. And it's I think 7 minute long piece. So that's coming out soon as well. So I hope you check it out. I hope you like it. Okay. Nikhil says, have you ever visited India? I have not, but I would love to one day. Yes, absolutely. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, somebody says, oh, yes, beta blockers. That's what it was. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name. Um, Nong says, hi, Tina. Hello. Any new work with Mr. Zimmer coming up? Yes. So, well, Dune's coming out. Top Gun hasn't come out yet, the new one, which I did almost 100, I think 100 hours of recording for last year during the pandemic, which I'm very grateful for that, I was able to do that. And then this event that I have alluded to very secretively that's coming up in 2 weeks is also related to Mr. Zimmer, to Hans. And so, yes, there's definitely stuff coming up. Thank you. And as soon as I'm able to announce it, it'll be up on usually Instagram and Facebook. I like post everything there first and then Twitter. So check those out if you don't follow me already on there, please. Let's see. Ralph, would you like to help me with my music one day? I have only 2 songs ready, but I don't know if they are good enough to upload to YouTube. Ralph, upload it. I always say, do not wait until you feel like something's ready because it'll never be ready. I mean, honestly, I listened to some of my things that I released, a decade ago. That's up, and I'm like, I rarely listen to it, but if I like I came across one track the other day. I'm like, oh my god, like what was I thinking? But it doesn't matter because it's actually kind of cool because it's part of the growing process. So don't waste time because time is passing by. Don't waste time by being afraid to share. I think just do it. That's the only way to move forward, right? So put out the 2 songs and keep going, keep going, keep going. I mean, like, I don't know if you're a composer or like musician, but composers, like professional ones, they write thousands upon thousands of tracks, so you can't wait. You can't spend too much time over analyzing one little thing. Just keep moving forward. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And it'll only get better as time passes. Okay. Oh, you guys are saying nice things about my teeth. Thank you. Um, oh, awesome. Jarlath mentioned the upcoming podcast with Rusanda. Yes, that is coming out in a couple weeks. Next week will be next Monday is episode 5. No, episode 4. I'm sorry, with Richard Kraft, who's an amazing film music. I'm sorry, no, film A film composer agent. So he represents a lot of huge composers. And so we did that episode together. And then the following Monday will be Rusanda. So yes, please check it out. Um, Okay, it has oh my goodness, I have been talking for an hour, 13 minutes. You guys, I am out of control. I meant to do this for only 30 minutes. All right, let's do a couple more questions and then I'm going to get going because I do need to do some other stuff and I'm sure you guys are busy as well. Thank you for being here. Okay, let's see. Are you ever going to make French bass French bows? I don't have any plans to. Um, but I do have, if you go to tinagostrings.com, that's my line of cellos and bows for violins, violas, and cellos, which is why you probably mentioned the bass bows. So I don't have any bass bows available. And there's also two kinds of acoustic cellos, cello pickups, carbon fiber cello cases, all kinds of fun stuff that you can check out at tinagostrings.com. I have never listened to Venezuelan gaita music. I will have to check that out. Um, Thank you, Jarlis, so much. Thank you, the fretboard work. Thank you. Let's see. MIDI is life. Yes. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Igor just said, would you be willing to create a YouTube video showing the entire process from a blank project to a final composition? Oh, well, maybe, yeah. I mean, it takes a very long time. I'm not sure if like a real-time situation work, but yeah, I can definitely show that. And also there are far many more composers far more advanced in composing because they do that like 8 hours a day every day who have done videos like this. So please like, be sure to check out all the resources available on YouTube if you're curious about learning about production. There's so many out there, so be sure to check that out. But actually, I was saying it's interesting because I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do for this TikTok campaign today, and they wanted I'm supposed to. It's a campaign about like creating music and just some quick tips, but it's a very short form, not like a full on thing. So I was trying to think like, what should I do? So maybe it'll be related to that. We will see. I'll think about it after this ends. Okay. Okay. Keegan says, do you enjoy being on tour more than being home? No, I don't. I think it's both. I think a good balance. For my future, I want to be at home more than I'm on tour, but I still definitely want to perform. I just don't want to be on the road so much that I feel like I'm literally living on the road. And some musicians love that, and that's wonderful. But for me, I think inside I'm still I don't know, I'm still more like traditional and I don't even know if traditional is the right word, but like I do want to experience the other things that being a human, being a woman involves. So yeah, so that's the balance for me. Let's see. Will Doom music be performed during the new tour? Yes, it will. All new music. Okay, one more. Very cool Viking song for you. Yay, Viking music. Okay, let's do one more. Um, Philip, I think you meant cello, not cholo. He's like, I definitely want to buy that cello from the Wonder. I'm like, what cello was in my Wonder Woman video? The cello. Yes, I still have it. That was one of it was my second electric cello ever. His name is Electric Cello Guo. Very original, I know. My new cellos have had more, have more unique names, but yes, I still have him and he still works, believe it or not. He's like the most long lasting electric cello that I've had. Okay. All right. Last question. Let's see. I'm so sorry for anybody that I've missed. But for ZG, as someone earlier asked, how did you meet Hans? So my friend Anne Marie, who is a wonderful violinist, and she toured with us in Hans Zimmer Live in 2016 and 17. So I met her through a YouTube contest. It was called My Grammy Moment. Again, 12, 13 years ago, many years ago, 13 years ago, I think. And she won the contest. And so we met during that time. And I had put out I have to, I would go, you guys know I talk way too much and give too many details. So I'm trying to make this very concise because it's been an hour, 17 minutes. So I need to end this. But so I put out this music video called Queen Bee. It is here on YouTube. So please check it out if you haven't seen it. And she showed it to Hans. And so they were working on a project. And I think Hans said something like, oh, I'm looking for a cellist or whatever. And so she showed him my music video. And when he saw that, his office reached out to me, and then the very first project that we worked on together was Sherlock Holmes, and then after that it was is it up here? Yeah, Sherlock Holmes, Inception, and some other stuff. So these are actually all pretty dated. These are all older projects. I need my Wonder Woman poster is like over here, but I got to get more wall space so I can put up more posters. Um, Okay, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me for all of your wonderful questions. Please check out my sites and the links. Yes, Simone, I'm coming to Italy next year on tour. Check out my website, tinaguo.com. What's the? Oh, okay. I really like this question. So last one from Cutie Piglet. The best username ever. What's the hardest part of your business? I think the hardest part is all this talk about being self driving and self instigating. It is hard, you guys. Like, and sometimes people say to me, oh, but it's so easy for you. It is not easy for me. Like, honestly, a lot of times I wake up like yesterday, I woke up and I felt super like down and like very unmotivated. And because I think also because I'm, here in Vegas in this like house and there's been no concerts and I have some friends here, but most of my friends are back in Los Angeles in the music community. And everything I've been doing has been online, which I guess is not that different from before the pandemic because I was always online anyway. But no, but sometimes you wake up and you just feel I don't know, isolated or just like, God, I don't know what am I doing? Like I'm just doing the same thing every day. So trust me, I feel the same way, but I think the only difference between these feelings of like I don't know, like doubt, self-doubt and just like sometimes depression, I mean everybody deals with this stuff is that for me, like what I said seriously about the Asian tiger parenting, I force myself to do it and like some days I will force myself and then I'm like, I just can't. Like I really, and then I know, okay, I've reached my own limit. I need to just take some time off and then, maybe I'll go upstairs, watch some TV, like whatever, or like, but I think the hardest part is to be self-driven and to have like a schedule and then also find a way to balance like mental health too, to balance having some type of like social life because if you do work so much, and I feel like I've gotten actually a lot better, like all last year during the pandemic and for various other reasons, I was working 7 days a week. I would get up at 6 a.m., usually around 6 or a little bit before, and work till 9 p.m. I mean, like, not, and, obviously stop to eat because I never forget to eat, but it's very unhealthy mentally. And so I've definitely found a better balance. But yeah, keeping yourself optimistic, motivated, and then forcing yourself to move forward even when you don't feel like it. Just like with working out. Like a lot of times I don't feel like it, but I'm like, I have to do it. And then I do it and then I feel good. So I think that would be the hardest part as opposed to being in a job or work where there is a structure made for you. And it is easy that way. It's so much easier. Like even when I'm on tour, I feel like, oh my God, it's so easy because you're told, the free breakfast buffet is available from this time to this time, lobby call is at this time, sound check is at this time, dinner's at this time. And it's like, oh my God, it's so easy. I don't have to think, it's like I don't have a choice. You just do it. And it's also a lot of like social interaction with your friends and people that you're touring with. But when you're by yourself, and it's so important what you do when you're not on tour and when you're by yourself and when you're, creating your music and, building and whatever, it's so important that you're able to somehow find the will to self-drive and be self-motivated and to be methodical even when you don't feel like it. So yeah. Oh, I'm looking at your guys' comments. So yeah, it happens, Yes, yes, all these are true. Yes. Oh, thank you. I hope you guys have a great day. You're missing black box recordings. You're missing breakfast in bed and a cuddle. That's true. Yes, but I am also not willing to settle. Not saying that I settled in the past, but I am not willing to settle. I know exactly what I need, and I don't want to waste my time or anybody else's time that I know is not going to work out in the long term. So I think it's good that I'm very clear on that. So it's okay, but we're all on our journeys. So if you guys, if only like love and relationships was as easy as like career, at least with career, if you're self-driven and self-instigated and methodical, like things will happen. But I'm still very optimistic and I know that things will be good. everything will work out, as long as we approach things with the right energy, and the right motivations. And again, being methodical about having a clear mind on where we want to go. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. If you want to keep in contact, I'm like always on Instagram. I always look at all the comments, so I haven't posted anything today, but I will. So keep in touch. I will talk to you soon. I'll try to do these Q&As a little bit more often. Thank you so much for being here. Check out my links below, and I will talk to you soon.